the bottom line value you get from investing in yourself. Today's episode is sponsored by Billy Keels Advisory Services. If you want to learn more about how to make your 99 optional, just go to makeitoptional.com. Once again, that's makeitoptional.com. The bottom line value you get from investing in yourself is really for you, because you continue to figure, are you worth it? Is it really something that you want? Is it something that you need? Well, if you continue to listen to this very brief episode, you're going to have that and more questions answered, because you, as a high achiever, a high paid professional who excels at your role, you have seen evidence of, well, successes, and you've also seen evidence of people crashing and burning. And that means not literally, but figuratively, on their way to their dreams. And so I guess one of the questions that I want to ask you is that you're performing at home, you're performing at work, and you have this desire to move forward and build your own thing and your own dream. But consider this. Do you drive your car, or would you drive your car without insurance on your car? What about doctors? How many doctors are you listening today that you would practice medicine with no malpractice insurance? What about lawyers? How many lawyers would practice with no insurance? Well, you're thinking to yourself, well, none of them. So the reason for you chasing your increased control over the outcomes of your life towards your optionality number, what is your reason for moving towards that number without having some type of insurance? You're a high achiever. You're someone who's done things well, and you've mitigated the risk. See, it's no different here. This is what I started to realize, because when you are someone who continues to do it on your own, you're working alone. It's not the thing that helped you to move up the corporate ladder faster. It didn't help you to have a successful home life. It didn't do any of those things. So why are you trying now? Why are you working against yourself? Doing everything on your own, doing it yourself. You see, I've been there, I've done that. And that's exactly why I'm sharing today's episode with you. Like, I have been to the point where, yeah, you know what? I wanted to make the most amount of money with the least amount of time put in. And that's when I was successful in corporate, successful at home, and building a business on the side. Give me more. Give me more. I just want to do more of myself. But the reality was, at a certain point, you want to feel like you have the situation under control and have the questions answered for yourself and for others. That's the thing. Because when you think about investing in yourself, it's not something that you typically want to do because you're always thinking about everybody else. You're the reliable one. You are the one who is helping everybody else move in the direction that they want to do. But what about you? What about you? Right? So the thing that I want to share with you is that I spent 5 years working, doing things on my own, overthinking things. Got to a point where I was doing literally 2.5 years of things, just do it yourself, like not relying on somebody else's who had more experience than me. I didn't do that in corporate. When I was in corporate, one of the first things I wanted to do was find mentors who has been down the path that I wanted to go down. How can I learn from them? How can their experience help mitigate challenges for me in the future? How can it also accelerate, because I can take the good from what they did, leave the bad, learn from them. It worked for me in corporate life. Why was I doing something different outside of that? Maybe it was the fact that I was having too much success, because early on I was having success. Properties were working. Everything was working just in line, because I was measuring it by money. It was successful there. I didn't have any process. I didn't have frameworks to follow. I was doing this stuff by myself. Yes, of course, I'd spoken to people, but I wasn't really looking at what should I be doing to make this even more efficient so that I can accelerate getting to my optionality number. That optionality number would set me free in my corporate role. So what happened? I ended up being completely exhausted, working, more than 12 hours a day, because I was burning the candle at both ends. Just what you do. You're a high achiever. You do more work. You work harder. Not necessarily smarter, and that leads to frustration. It does. And then when I started recognizing that, hey, listen, I'm talking to people, I'm exhausted. I want to do everything. I want to please everybody. I want to perform well at home. I want to perform well at the office. And I want to get this business up and running as fast as possible. Well, you know what? I looked out on the horizon. I started seeing that there were other people like me that were professionals, high paid professionals, and they didn't have the same bags under their eyes. They didn't have the same looking of exhaustion that I was having. You know why? Well, when I started asking questions, because I'm a curious person, I started asking questions. Well, how is it that you are so under control? That how is it that you are doing this? You're performing well here at the office. You seem to be performing well at home. And even your business is up running off the ground. That didn't matter if they had an online business, they were investing in real estate. Those were the people that I was speaking to the most. There were also people that had coaching businesses. I was talking to them too. But they looked different. They had a different air about them. And I was curious. I wanted to learn. So guess what I did? I took those learnings because I had my POC, my proof of concept that I talk about all the time. I talk about it ad nauseum. You know, repetition. Listen, because it's something that's there. When you see the proof of concept, run after it. You can learn something from it. The thing is I realized that I didn't need the help. I could have kept pushing through. I could have kept doing more hours. I could have kept burning the candle at both ends, but you know what? I didn't need it. I wanted help. In my gut of guts, I wanted help. I was just looking for the signs to figure out when it was time to reach out and ask for help. I was looking for the right guides. I was trying to figure out who was aligning. Where did I want to go? Who has already done what I wanted to do? And then I got closer. I reached out. There were opportunities to reach out. I made the connections. There were opportunities to invest in products. I invested in their products, in their services, and I got closer. And I got to a point where, yeah, it was time for me to make my investment. I went through investments, and then, you know what? It was an uncomfortable feeling when you go through your first one and your second one and your third one and your fourth one, because you're constantly in this state of doubt. You know, is it the thing that you really want to do? But you've got to come back to this whole thing of, yeah, you get to a certain point and you realize, like, are you going to continue to do it on your own? Or what is the bottom line, the value you get from investing in yourself? And when I realized that it was time to do that, because I wanted to have my own individual specific questions answered then and there. I didn't want to wait, figure out online. You couldn't ask questions. There's no feedback loop. The mastermind calls, the same 5 people ask the questions all the time. It was about, how do I start to get my answers sooner, have the timeline to getting to my goal shortened, and create and learn from someone who's already been down the path that I want to go. Well, I went through all the same normal doubts of, you know, can I use this money and invest in to invest in another property? Should I use this to do an improvement on a property? Should I, heaven forbid, talk to someone who knew me, liked me, loved me, or trusted me? Because they always said the same thing, like, why in the world would you use this money to invest in yourself? But it's the same thing that you would ask a doctor, a lawyer, a pilot. Don't you need an insurance policy? Don't you want to be in a position where you can take the next step without fear of a massive crash? I went through all those feelings. And at the end of the day, there was something in my gut that told me this investing in myself, because ultimately I decided to bet on me. Now, that bet, I didn't get returns immediately. But what I started realizing is I understood the importance of having an insurance policy. And there is no better insurance policy than betting on myself, investing in myself. You know it. Every time that you've tried something high achiever that you've been in control of, how many times have you succeeded? 9 times out of 10, 8 times out of 10, 9 times out of 10, 10 times out of 10? I don't know if anybody's perfect. But the question is, do you understand the importance of having an insurance policy? And I know that you do. I know that I did. Because when I went through that fear, I went through that doubt, I had the understanding of I would do the work, if the program would do the work, and if the individual that I wanted to work with was already there and competent and been down the path that I went down. That's what I took away, is that there was understood the importance of having an insurance policy and recognizing that it was the right time and it was the right person for me. I was not 100% I didn't have 100% certainty. I was probably about 80% certain, but it was time for me to make the jump. And that's when I understood the bottom line value that I got from investing in myself was the experience, was being able to make decisions in a much more frameworks type of way, faster, and also thinking about angles that I had not been thinking about because I didn't have the experience. And what had taken me 8 years to get started, the timeline's collapsed to 18 months to be able to get to the first goal that I had for myself. Pretty powerful stuff. That's the bottom line value you get from investing in yourself. And so if it's not you and you know somebody else who's going through this, they're having the trials, the tribulations, they're overthinking it, share today's episode with them. Be the person that is the change agent in their life. You are doing a massive favor to the person that you know is struggling with this issue today. Share the episode. Doesn't cost you anything. Just forward the button. And then talk to them. Give them a call. Follow up. Because while you're doing that, you know what I'll be doing? I'll be right here preparing for the next episode. So until then, I want you to go out and make it a great day. And thank you very, very much. Today's episode is sponsored by Billy Keels Advisory Services. If you want to learn more about how to make your 99 optional, just go to makeitoptional.com. Once again, that's makeitoptional.com.